evening, everybody. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of WrestleZone Unfiltered. I am Jason, and with me, as always, from the great up north, snowing like crazy, and hopefully they keep it. Paul, how you doing tonight? You still cold? What do y'all got going on?
I feel like I'm not sick, but every time I bend over to like pick something up, I feel the nostrils fill up, and I go, "Yeah, maybe I think I might be just still like tiny bit."
Well, it's starting to melt a little bit around here. But like I told you, we got a lot of ice, and I still can't see my front yard, but it is starting to melt some in the back, and most of the roads are clear, but a lot of the schools around here still have not went back, or they are still operating on a 2-hour delay because, again, it was ice and it's been cold as hell. So yippee.
Yeah, it's been very, very cold.
So what you been up to this week? You watch anything good?
I feel like I have, but I also feel like I've been sick, so you kind of half watch stuff. But I will say that there's some very, very talked about moments that happened this week. Let's just say that.
Well, hell, let's jump right into it, dude. I have not been a big fan of WWE with the stuff they've been doing. It's been redundant. It's been boring. A lot of the stuff that I've kind of liked, maybe not per se as, how it played out, but understood why it was happening the way it happened and what it was going to mean for people going forward. A lot of people poo-pooed on, notably Gunther, but that shit with CM Punk and Roman Reigns Monday night, man, that was absolute cinema, and it's about time that that to me, I'll agree with CM Punk for once. I think that was probably the best promo of Roman Reigns' career.
You know what's funny is I think I saw this. I was at a friend's, and let's just say I have different feelings about the product, but I understand that it's a genre thing. So, can you let me know why you feel like it was cinema? Like, what was the emotion or whatever that you were kind of riding to enjoy it so much?
Well, we'll back it up to stuff I've talked to you about before with AEW. It's, everybody thinks that I'm such a poo-poo on AEW, and that's not the case. I don't mind them going out there and doing the crazy things that they do, but give me a reason for it. Don't just put two people together and have them using, whatever. I mean, 500 tables. You get my point. Coming off a ladder, trying to Canadian destroy somebody through, tables.
Excess. Yeah, you're being excessive.
I don't mind those type of matches, and I don't mind people looking like they're willing to, paralyze themselves to hurt the other person. Just tell me why. I want the why. Make me care about it. Don't make me go. Don't give me the other why. Don't make me go, what the hell was that? Because it'd been like, I don't know, just pick something from years ago, like, the Brooklyn Brawler being out there and, in his job match to put over person X, and they come out there and they want to put him through 4 tables and put him through a ladder and this, that, and the other. Why? What did he do to you? As much as I don't like Paige, they told a really good story with him and Swerve. I mean, there was emotions in that match because the house on
Hangman
fire.
Page. Yeah. I was like, when did Page fight? Yes, Hangman. Okay,
they gave you the reason on why those two guys hated each other so much, and that will come back around to the reason they fight again, even though they're kind of kissy right now and kind of, I respect you and all that shit, But did you listen to the whole promo?
Disappointingly, yes.
Just the reality of it and the stuff that got brought up with Roman Reigns talking about the podcast that, everybody knew about, the stuff that he said to CM Punk about making his life difficult, about, the only thing he ever learned from him was, what not to do, the mocking of him going back up the ramp after they had just shook hands or fist bumped in the ring after War Games. CM Punk's come back with, okay, yeah, you were champion for 1,300 days with Paul Heyman. Does it sound familiar? Yeah, you might have did it longer, but you damn sure didn't do it better. And then Reigns at the end of it going, I could pick you because you're on the best show. I could pick you because you're a big star. I'm picking you because I hate you. I've always hated you. And when he talked about Punk coming back, he's like, Reigns, look at where I was. Who do you think they came and asked if it was okay if you came back here? I mean, it was, I don't care if the match is shitty. If they just go out there and swing fists, they right there gave. I mean, they had been talking about Roman Cody 3 for WrestleMania again, and I'm just like, why? Why? And then thankfully, we did not get that. We're getting Reigns and CM Punk, and between with what happened Monday, I'm hoping they can just continue in my estimation to elevate it. Like so, kind of going back to the AJ Styles John Cena match. Was that Okada Kenny from 10 years ago? No, it wasn't. But it elicited that emotion that you want to get from the American wrestling fan, in my opinion.
No, it's like I can see what they're doing and go, okay, I understand. But there's a part of me deep down that goes, your main event is a promo, like a 15, 20-minute promo. You could have ended the show with a match. Like, I understand, okay, they're your two biggest stars, and to put anybody else after them, okay, I get it. But yeah, put two people after them. Put a tag team match after it. Something. I was just sitting there going, like,
as to where I'll agree with you.
Thing.
That could have been done at the 9 o'clock hour, the halfway point, and then had a main event. The two things I didn't like about it was between the two of them, they made their WWE champion Drew McIntyre sound like he was just shitty. That's the one thing I didn't like about it. And I get where you're coming from with the match after, but yes, no, however, no matter if you like it or you don't, WWE's done that shit for years. Ending their show on a promo, so I guess I'm just numb to it.
No, and that's, I think what it is just like the culture is separated so far. But to me, it's like, would you buy a ticket if that's what it said the main event was? You know what I mean? Like, you see a flyer and you go, hey, let's check this out. It says the main event is a 20-minute promo. You'd be like, I don't know about that.
Well, hey, it's going to be hard pressed for WWE to get me ever to buy a ticket again, as much as the prices are right now.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
I would love to go to WrestleMania. Just it's been on my bucket list for a while, but I'm not going to pay a shitload of money, as I've told you before, to go sit and watch. Have to look up at all those different screens they put around. If I'm going to do it, I want to be able to see the ring clearly.
I guess the other part of me that's sort of disappointed is like, Punk. When was the Summer of Punk? 12 years ago, maybe. I'm not being specific, but because my memory's a bit hazy. But it's been a long time. It's been at least.
Didn't they try to run that one in his AEW run too? They were talking about something with the Summer of Punk.
Forever ago. How long ago was when he won the Rumble and The Rock lifted his arm and the whole place booed?
Oh hell, I don't remember.
my point being is, your big show that you're promoting is just like the same main event that's been the main event to the main event. Like, we can all poo-poo on New Japan for style or whatever, but they pulled the trigger on a young guy this year and said, we have to take Shawn Michaels and bump him up. We have to take, you know what I mean? Like, but it just feels like WWE is kind of refusing to when it comes to the big matches.
No, it's in American wrestling, it's as old, it's the oldest time. Mm-hmm. I mean, WCW refused to do it, and that, and that's kind of what ran them down. That was, right, wrong, or indifferent for Vince Russo when he did come into WCW. Why? Again, I've said this is the only defense that I've ever said of the man. Why bring him in when you knew what kind of TV he was writing? When you're just going to throw standards and practices at him, you brought in the wrong person to do that. But one thing he did fight for, and he's said it then, and he's pretty much maintained the same story, was he came in looking to push the younger guys and bring them up, and he caught hell from every side of it, because you had Hogan, you had Flair, you had Nash, and Hall, and all the all those people that wanted Sting, all those people that wanted to keep their spots, Luger, Sid Vicious, Jeff Jarrett. I mean, that.
Okay, so this might be a rhetorical question because these aren't the only options. Is this a case of the old guard not letting go of the torch, or is this a lack of faith in the new guard coming up, where they're like, the new guard's just not ready. Let's hold on. Let's, let the old guys hold on for a bit. Because you have all these guys retiring, but I feel like they're not going, oh, almost. You know what I mean? Like, they're not just picking a guy or a girl and just going to the moon with you.
Well, and this is like, I want people to understand when I say about what I see from the NXT guys they just brought up. Obafemi, of course, he's barring any major catastrophes or anything, Obafemi is going to be pushed to the moon, as he should be. But he needs to be pushed in that Brock Lesnar style. He's not going to go out there and give you a Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay, Seth Rollins type match. It's not what you're going to get from him. So basically, moving to that, you're going to get another Roman Reigns with him. Is what you're going to get. But I think the biggest star you're probably going to see, depending on what Oba does, and if it continues the way it does, is Trick Williams, because that's the American audience type. That's what they like. They like to be involved. They like to chant. They like to get involved in the music. Trick's not great in the ring, but he's not horrible in the ring. But he's got charisma. He captivates an audience when he talks, and they just brought all those guys up from NXT, so I'm not real sure, who else as of right now you can put in that position. And CM Punk is the world heavyweight champion. Now, like I said, here's where I'll play devil's advocate on that, though.
Okay,
as big a star as Roman Reigns is, and they pushed him to be, if you cannot write Roman Reigns into the main event picture of WrestleMania without him winning the Royal Rumble, you might need to find another job. I just, they have pushed him so hard, and he's so far up here.
How many victories of Royal Rumble does he have now?
2, I believe.
Really? No way. This is the second time since all the way back then. Like, hey, if that's the truth, like, fair.
I don't know. I don't know, but let me look. Hold on.
I feel he's got to be at 4 by now. Like, he's got to be above Stone Cold.
We will see. I know they talked about the only people to win it, back to back to back, like that was, they had won 3. No, he's only won 2. Oh, he won the 15 Rumble and the 26 Rumble.
Maybe that was the year that Rock picked his arm up and they went, never doing that again.
He actually hasn't been in that many. He was the runner-up in 2014, 2017, 2018, 2020. And he holds the most eliminations in a single match, Rumble match, with 12 in 2014. But no, I mean, looks like he's been in 6 and he's won 2. I know it seems a lot. I mean, I do. I mean, that bloodline storyline going on for the better part of 4 years.
Yeah, but it's like maybe my memory got confused a little bit, because I feel like he would have won the Royal Rumble so many times, but he also probably won a lot else that helps me get confused.
But see, here's the issue for him too. And again, not a defense, but when did WWE start, or WWF, whenever you want to call them, start pushing the younger stars? When the older ones left. They had no choice.
Steroid trial.
Well, I mean, you started that Hogan left, and then,
I think that's the more specific moment. But there was also when they started going to WCW.
Yeah,
and they
hired. I'm talking about when the Hulk Hogan left, and then you had the NWO thing start coming like 2 years later after the steroid trials, and then you just kept seeing defection after defection after defection. Going. They had no choice.
Yeah, I mean, here comes Triple H. Here comes Mick Foley.
Yep. And and what did we get out of that? We got 2 of the biggest stars the sport's ever seen in Austin and The Rock. Would we have gotten Austin and The Rock if all those old heads was have stayed? Who knows? I mean, the famous story with Stone Cold was, everybody was so behind him and so, believed in him so much, and Vince just didn't see it. Vince didn't like his accent. He didn't like the redneck stuff. And, he had all those people in the back, especially Jim Ross, going, you need to do something with him. And finally he threw his hands up and was like, do with him whatever you want. I'm done. And, the year he won the King of the Ring, was, Triple H getting punished. He was supposed to win that year. And he was punished for the Madison Square Garden curtain call. Shawn was champion. Hall and Nash left, I left him as the odd man out to take that year's worth of shit and, to then try to work his way back. But, so there's a lot of, things just fell into place for a lot of those people.
Yeah, it does seem I'm unfamiliar with the structure now. But yeah, I don't know. I guess me just watching Raw, watching that ending, I was like, I don't know. You're
Again,
not winning
I get what you're saying, but like I said, I also, that they've been doing that so long that I'm just numb to it. I mean, it doesn't, I'm not sitting there going, where's the main event match? I mean, because but it also goes back to the stuff that we grew up on. Me personally, I should say that, when it wasn't the television companies that it is now, it wasn't the entertainment aspect that it is now. Those type of promos like that, you had to talk people into the building to get an ass every 18 inches. And, so I don't know. Like I say, it doesn't bother me as much as it does most people. And a lot of people just go out there and talk, and you're sitting there going, anytime now. But them going back and forth like that and taking real shots, and CM Punk, I mean, I don't remember he said this part of it, but I'd be interested to see somebody go back and find the numbers. Punk was champion for like 450 some days with Paul Heyman. And I would almost be willing to put money on the fact that he defended the title more times in those 450 days than Roman did in the 1300 days. Now I could be wrong. But it just seemed like Roman came and went so much, even when he was champion, and Punk, to his credit, was always there. He was there every week. And so, I don't know if that's a fact or not, but I think it's highly possible that CM Punk defended the title more in a little bit over a year than Roman did in 3+.
Yeah, I can definitely see how it's going to be a draw, though. You have arguably your two S-class guys.
And on the flip side, to defend the company to a point, I agree they need to push the younger people. I got my own, I got my own Oba, I got my own Trick. They're finally starting to use Carmelo properly. I liked him from the time I saw him, especially when they turned him heel like 2 months later and brought Trick in and to be as his side. They're finally starting to give Carmelo a push instead of having him lay down every week. And, so I think they got some good younger talent that if they stick with it, they brought they brought Miro back and they haven't done shit with him. I hadn't seen him I hadn't seen when he come out for the Rumble. I'm like, oh damn, he's still here. I forgot.
Yeah, is this it's like to make a dated reference? Is this a bit of Piper Hogan holding on to the top and making sure that they get those steel cage matches at the end of the card, brother?
Well, in Piper's defense, he did say the reason he would never let Hogan beat him in WWF was that once he did, Hogan's question, then what? They just move on to somebody.
I just make the joke because I feel like there was a part of the era of WCW where it's like, oh my god, another Piper Hogan.
They brought him in for that, but but then he moved on and he started laying down, and people ask him about it in interviews after. And they're like, so what changed with you that you would lay down like that? And he's like, my money was guaranteed. My money wasn't, my money was not solely depending on where I was on the card. He goes, with my guarantee, they could have put me on, before the pre-show with 10 people in the audience. He goes, I'd have still worked and I'd have worked to my best of my ability, but I wouldn't have cared because my money wasn't going to change. Yeah. Speaking of Royal Rumbles, Paul said he didn't put his quite together yet, but
I slapped mine together real quick. So let me know what you got, and I'll give you mine.
I'm just gonna give you my first 5. We're gonna throw this out throughout the card here. My first 5. We open up 1 and 2 with Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay. Then followed closely at number 3 in 90 seconds, because I'm not quite convinced he's done, is AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm.
Then number 4 would be Sami Zayn, followed by number 5, Rey Mysterio. And I'll give you 6. 90 seconds after Rey, we get Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh my God, you're going big. Okay. So I've decided to go old school. I think it was like 2001 Royal Rumble. They just had 3 chunks, 3 little stories. So I'll give you the first one because I thought this would be a little the Royal Rumble. Anything can happen, right? So the first 2 are going to be R-Truth and Kofi, just to kind of set your expectations of like what is going on. And after those 2, we're gonna have Omos, Mr. Iguana, Kane, Doink, the Repo Man, Joe Hendry, and Santino. And this is just going to be to get Kane and Omos as like the straight man. Because Kane has a great, like, what is happening moment kind of face. So just let those 2 big lads beat the crap out of all the little guys. But you could let Santino and Repo Man do their, oh, he stole the Cobra. I got to, like, have a bit of fun. Let this 10 people go 20 minutes and just, I can steal Doink's nose and we can have a big laugh. And, like, let's send the kids home happy. That's the point of this segment. Kofi can do the opposite of Kofi's spot. We'll let we'll let R-Truth do the Kofi spot to keep it a little bit respectful. And then as soon as he like comes back after the Kofi spot and everyone's like, yeah, Kofi's the one that knocks him down. Just to, you know what I mean? You just got to reverse, set your expectations.
You did 10, right?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, I'll give you my next 4 in a second, but here's my thinking for the first one.
Okay.
For the first 5.
Okay.
Was all 5 of those guys work tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting off, with 2 guys that are going to keep between Seth and Will Ospreay. People are going to be glued to that ring for 90 seconds.
This is work rate you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got AJ. That's going to come in and, a little older, but still the same type of wrestler. And you got Sammy, who's, kind of mixed in there between them, and then Ray, who's, in his 40s, but can still go. Then we kind of get into some more technical stuff to bring in to throw in the mix. I gave you Zach.
Okay.
My 7 through 10 would be 7 Shinsuke, 8 Ilya Dragunov,
okay,
9 Andrade, and 10 the Prince.
The Prince?
Finn Balor.
Oh, okay. I got very confused, but yeah. Let's start off hot. This first 10 minutes is going to be the best of what we can offer. Just work rate. Boom, 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 boom.
Because to me, those first 10, you're sitting there. If you just you're gonna, I want you to feel like if you take your eyes off the ring just to look at your buddy and say something, you feel like you're gonna miss something.
Mm-hmm.
I want your eyes on it. Because the Royal Rumble is, at least an hour. At least it's normally about an hour and 10 minutes roughly, but to get it all in and get a winner. But I want you mesmerized that whole time.
And so this is just an observation I find, because even when I got a Rumble coming up, and so the difference between like American Rumbles and international Rumbles is people stay in the ring more. So if you have this international cast, they can still be doing all these dives and stuff, but just make sure that they're going
through the ropes.
Because remember that time that, what was it, Mil Mascaras or whatever eliminated himself from the Royal Rumble?
Yep.
If you go back, he didn't, because he went through this is the semantics. He went through the rope, but then jumped over the top rope, like in the turnbuckle to go over. So people said, oh, that was going over. But it's like, he went through the middle rope to do a dive. Technically.
6 of one, half dozen other. If it had been somebody that wasn't supposed to be able, it was like I don't know if you remember or not, but it was the year that Shawn Michaels won his first one when he come back in and knocked the Bulldog off. Everybody thought the Bulldog had won.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Well,
the reason both feet must hit the floor. Shawn was supposed to do the whole skin the cat thing, and one foot hit the floor, but the other one did not. And that's what that's what they went back and started showing, was his one foot swinging in the air, but the one touching the floor, and he was able to, climb back into the ring and come running off and Bulldog celebrating on the second turnbuckle with his music playing, and Shawn knocks him off over the top rope.
That's the semantics that pro wrestling fans love, because there's nothing better than being technically correct. You know what I mean?
Well, no, that's what I was like. They had never mentioned that 2 feet must touch the floor shit until they had to. That gave them the way out. And in Vince McMahon's, evil genius of a mind, that he could think that quick off the top of his head, so his chosen pick could win and go to WrestleMania. 2 feet didn't touch the floor, brother.
And I can almost hear Fink saying, and both feet must touch the floor.
Yep, like I said, that was never a thing until that one. After that, they've said it every year that both feet must touch the floor. So, all right, who's your next 5?
I'll give you my next 10 if we're gonna keep that, because I have another chunk of 10. I am basically stealing mostly your idea, but so far I've just been, for some reason, sticking with mostly WWE people, but you'll see a variation in this. So 11, after all the fun and games is finished, AJ will come out, because AJ can do a bit of comedy. So if we need to mix him with the other people, that's okay. But then Tama Tonga is going to come out, Balor's going to come out, Hakaleo's going to come out. I forget his new name. Nakamura, Bronson Reed, debuting Evil, whatever his name, whatever is going to be. Then we're going to get what was it? Anderson and what's Festus's name? Carl Anderson and Gallows. And then for number 10 to wrap up this 10 will be Kenta. So in theory, the only people that should be hanging from the first half will be, like, let's say R-Truth or Kofi. That's about it. Should be from the first half, but this is foreign work rate. Let's start doing spots that Americans aren't used to. Let's have a bit of fun. Let's do some weird strong style stuff. Like, turn up the dial.
All right. I won't give you 5 more, then I'll do the other 5, and there's a reason for it.
Oh, okay.
At this time, we still got all of my first 10 in the ring. All 10 are still in there. We've got a battle going on with all the 10 of those guys. But then we start getting some of your big boys coming in. At number 11, we get Gunther. At number 12, we get Samoa Joe.
Oh, this is the slow it down brigade.
This is the 13 at Braun Breaker.
Yep. Slow it down, brother.
At 14, we get Wardlow.
Okay.
At 15, we're going to get Drew McIntyre. Now, during this span, when these 5 come out, during that span, we're going to get early exits from Zack Sabre, Rey Mysterio, and Wardlow are all gone in that stretch. So, like always, Wardlow doesn't hang around real long. And then we're going to get the next 5 of Okada, Omega.
Oh, my God.
Jay White, Damian Priest, and CM Punk.
There goes the budget. That's what they call that group. There goes the budget.
3 of those 5. Well, 4 of those 5. Well, I don't know. Jay White's not old, but he just seems like he's getting hurt a lot. So I put them in those. He's also
been around for a long time because he started young.
Yeah, I mean, I put those guys in that spot because, I mean, Punk doesn't really seem like he's getting hurt a lot. He had that, when he had the injury in AEW, then he had the injury when he first that Rumble last year. But other than that, he seems to stay pretty healthy. The rest of them, we know Okada slowed down. We know the injuries Omega's dealt with. So kind of bring them in with familiar faces they can work with, without worrying that one of them's going to get hurt at that point. And at that point, we've still only had the eliminations I've said earlier. So we got a shitload of people in the ring right now. You can't take your eyes off of it. All right. And before we go through the next 10, did you see MJF just get fucking squashed last night?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm having Wardlow flashbacks, but he wasn't champion when Wardlow did it. But I mean, they did it okay. I mean, Adam Page distracted him and Brodie put him in the choked him out, put his ass in his face, gave him the Gonzo bomb and pinned him with MJF's trunk sticking straight up his ass, looking like he was wearing a thong till he fixed him. But I'm just like, what are we doing? What? What did you think about that?
I did notice a weird pocket of the IWC population. Okay, so I go on Instagram, and did you know that people were complaining about this spot, the Brody hanging spot, whatever you want to call it, hangman spot, whatever. Um, and they said, oh, another reason that AEW is ripping off WWE because I believe Gunther did it to somebody the other week. And I thought, man, Brody's been doing that for years.
Well, I can't recall Gunther doing it to somebody specific, but I have seen opponents when he puts them in that sleeper like that, like
And they like,
trying to climb over the rope to get out of it, and then they wind up going limp out there after they've climbed over
yeah, and
the rope.
their feet hang is
Yeah,
the
I
is
mean,
the visual.
so, essentially the same spot, just different way to get there.
No, well, okay, I'm just saying what bugged me is Brody's been doing that spot for years and years and years. He's done it in Mexico, he's done it in Japan, he's done it in America, he's done it in Canada, he's done it in Britain, he's done it in Europe. You know, this guy does it everywhere. He gets it over. It looks crazy. And now for some reason he's ripping off the Fed. He's ripping off the WWE. AEW's obsessed. And I thought, man, there really is a pocket of the internet wrestling community that just refuses to watch wrestling.
Well, and again, I'll go back and say this: a tale as old as time. Um, we'll go back way in history. When Demolition first appeared, if you watched both, if you watched the NWA and WWF, the NWA fans was going, look at this fucking cheap imitation of the Road Warriors. But then you had people that only watched the WWF when the Road Warriors showed up, going, who are these Demolition copycats? I mean, it's a tale as old as time. It's just, and you like what you like, you watch what you watch, and that's okay. But just understand when you say stuff like that Gunther's ripping off Brody or the Road Warriors were a cheap imitation of Demolition, you show exactly how much you do not know. Do your homework. What's the old adage? Better to be thought of as a fool than open your mouth and prove them right.
I think there's a growing sort of stigma in some of these, because like I see this meme sort of in different communities. Like I watch Dragon Ball, I go on the Dragon Ball subreddits, and this meme of, oh, the only people to never read Dragon Ball are Dragon Ball fans, blah blah blah. The only people that don't watch Star Wars are Star Wars fans. Well, and it's like it really does seem like there's a growing population of like, I'm a wrestling fan, but I don't watch wrestling. Like I don't keep up. I don't, and it's just, it just throws me for a loop sometimes because you hear an argument that's happening and you hear it and you go, the fact that you're even having this argument blows my mind completely.
Yeah, I mean, I look at these groups sometimes. That's why I left most of them because I just got sick of it because it was either one of two things to me. They either were just that flipping stupid about what they were talking about, or they were just being a troll and trying to get people to come back at them. And either way, I don't have time for it. So, if you live on the internet and that's your deal and that's where you need your attention and, mama didn't hug
maybe it's just one of those
child, then that's okay. I mean, but
maybe I fell for the engagement bait and that's on me. You know what I mean? Maybe, hey, I can see that. That could be a thing.
Yeah, anytime that somebody comes on, I don't post a lot of controversial stuff, but anytime, if it's something that somebody makes a shitty comment on, I don't argue with them. I just say, well, thank you for the engagement. And and that's all they get out of me. And they'll try to comment like 3 or 4 more times. And I'm just sitting there I'm like, keep going, buddy. Keep going. You're getting my post seen more. Have fun.
Yeah.
And then last night you also had and I said it standing there watching. I'm like, normally I wouldn't say that Andrade is going to win, but they let him pin Swerve last week. Why not Kenny this week? And as soon as I saw Swerve come out, I'm like, here it comes. And the referee gets tied up with Swerve. Andrade kicks him in the ding ding and gives him his finish 1, 2, 3. And now you get Andrade going on to get a world title shot, which will be if I don't see Brodie King winning the world title, but stranger things have happened. But
I could see Brody to put a WWE framework onto it. I could see Brody being a Dolph Ziggler, where he's a sort of gatekeeper for the main event. Where if you want to work your way up, you got to work with Brody, and depending on how you work with Brody, then we'll move you up, because I would love to see him in that role. Like maybe he challenges for the belt every so often, but he can never quite get it. And like the role Jonah was in New Japan.
Yeah.
Your lead heel, you'll never be champ, but you're always will be under Hulk Hogan.
And I for one, I don't like Andrade and the Don Callis family simply for, I've told you before, Don Callis is, his thing he's got going on seems like the old, Bobby Heenan family, Paul Jones Army type deal to me. It's not the elite. It's not the bloodline. It's not the horsemen. It's just a lot of silly shit they do.
It does seem very like TV wrestling stable, because it's just like, I have money, which is like, I like that as a story because that's the most logical. Why are all these people in a group? Because I pay them to be. That's why. Sure, why not? But factions work best when there's like a style. Like some of the reasons I like TMDK in Japan all have orange on their gear. Like their faction has a color. They have some unison in their gear when they wrestle together. Like that's what you really need for a faction. So sometimes when it's like Hechicero and Josh Alexander, you kind of go, wait, these guys are a team? What? You know what I mean? Like, what about them makes them a team?
And for anybody, and again, anytime I say this, I always preface it because, people think I'm just shitting over AEW and whatever, but they do just as much dumb shit with people as the WWE does. You see all these hardcore all these hardcore AEW fans just, shit cannon, Powerhouse Hobbs' new name. And for anybody that doesn't know yet, the way they got his name is Royce is his son's name. And Keys is his mother's maiden name.
I hate to do this to you, buddy. Like, I love you. I love you to death, but I hate to do this. Okay, ready? Hoyce.
What about it?
No, that's how you it's not an R name. It's like Hoyce Gracie, like in the 90s.
No.
I don't know if that's specifically how he pronounces it, but I'm just saying
they've been calling him Royce Keys.
Okay, fair enough. That's
why I said it the way I did. But
fair.
Either or. I mean, hell, they could name him Big Bird for all I care. I mean, they're paying him, and he probably wouldn't care either.
I don't know. I'm just like I guess my brain was focused on that because I always thought Hoyce was such a soft name. Like, not taking anything away from the name because I know it has a family relation, but it's like it doesn't have that like Hobbs. Hobbs is like a sound to it, but Royce has a bit of a better sound. It's not I don't know, but yeah, I'm so used to calling him Hoyce right now.
But the thing I'm saying is, we've seen the Fed do it several times, but you brought up Josh Alexander, what made me think of it. I mean, Josh Alexander is a wrestling machine. He is a former TNA world champion. And, the only match he had won for a while was when he injured the man. The man could not continue.
Oh, yes. True. Yeah.
And when he won the match by count out because the man got hurt, not because they were going to put Josh Alexander over. He has looked like a complete and utter buffoon since entering AEW. And Paige, when Paige first came into AEW as Saraya, they gave her that quick push and, God bless them. They gave her the world title win in Wembley Stadium, did the Queen entrance and everything. But then after that, it was just like, once she lost the title, nothing. I mean, so they all do it. I mean, so don't sit there and defend one and shit on the other one because they do the same shit. Just because you might like one storyline on one channel better than the other, don't mean they're still not doing the same shit.
And that's why this is where I say, like, it's just another American wrestling show sometimes. Like, it's a bit of a different genre, but it's still, if you take a step back, still 80-90% the same sort of product. You know what I mean? Like,
and like I said, that's what, and the American wrestling audience Monday night is what they like. That's, but when they start bitching and moaning about all the talking that gets done in the ring is when it's boring talking, when it doesn't resonate. And, with them going through the old school and about, all those years ago and Punk bringing it, him mentioning bringing the Shield in and all that stuff. Cause that's how they debuted, was just Punk's protection for, a couple of weeks and they kind of broke him away from him. But, most people know that. But like I said, they were hitting nerves. And now whether they discussed all of those nerves in the back or not, I'd be interested to know. I mean, but at the end of the day, they're both making a shitload of money. And like I said, when you're in a company's position like that, and you're paying people that kind of money, make them earn it, put them in the main event, make them, and then you look at the undercard that you put in at WrestleMania and wonder who next year could possibly be in that spot. Like I said, I think Trick Williams, the reason I'm so high on him is I just think he fits the WWF mold. He's in great shape. He looks fabulous. He can talk very well, and he's sufficient in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's their mold. And that's kind of why, when I first saw Jade Cargill, it wasn't a knock on AEW. I just said she had WWF written all over because of the way she is. She can talk shit, and she's built like a brick shit house.
It's pure presentation.
Yeah. I mean, so what? Something else happened on Dynamite last night. I don't know. Let's see. The Death Riders lost.
Well, they someone said something political, and it got a lot of attention. But we can just move past that.
I don't know. I don't know who said something political. I heard the F Ice chant at the beginning of the main event.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I will say this, not diving into the topic. It is interesting that this is one of those moments where wrestling's starting to get cycled through the news again.
Well, and I don't know if people actually, I don't care how people feel. That's up to you. You feel however you want to, but everybody's, everybody knows at the top of the WWF leans right. They always have. Vince and Trump were tight. Paul and Stephanie were behind Linda when she got sworn in on the cabinet. I mean, this is no shock. I mean, don't sit there and act stupid that this just happened. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, WrestleMania 4 and 5 were held in Trump Tower.
I mean, it is also Brodie who, if I remember correctly, wore a shirt.
Yep, he did,
and that sort of started it.
Yep, he did.
So I think
I forgot what he wore.
He was asking for it. If you want,
I'm sure he probably was. I mean, but it's like Punk's very liberal. And he had wore one of his shirts on AEW TV, and he's done interviews in those types of shirts since returning. He's done, been talked to out in the public, but they do not let him wear that type of stuff on TV. So you don't really see it on their programs like that. So, and I think that's the right thing to do. I tell people all the time,
if I remember correctly, when Brodie wore the shirt, he was in Mexico, so it was CMML. If I remember correctly, or it was the Mexican AEW show, so it might have been like a different kind of, or he maybe snuck it in. It's better to apologize than to ask for permission, whatever. But I think it's whatever you think about the chant. I will say I think it's cool that this moment MJF had that great reaction. It was almost like a The Office where he turns and kind of gives a shock face, but this is all on the news. People are tweeting that moment. It's a massive moment of attention for AEW. So, and Max seems to be taking it in good stride because every time that they tweet it, someone tweets it, he tweets, "You can watch us," blah, 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 blah. So I think, hey, ride that wave. Like, whatever attention you can get. Hey, we used to have storylines about the Gulf War and stuff. That was a little...
I mean, Sergeant Slaughter's talked about that, that when he was all gung-ho to do the character and everything, that they legit, had people threatening his wife and his kids and stuff like that, and they had to get protection for him and all that kind of stuff. But this isn't taking sides, and we'll get off this topic in a second.
No,
I'll say this as a as somebody that has raised kids, that adults now, of course, but you see everybody here. Every time somebody gets fired, well, what about the First Amendment? Are you stupid? The First Amendment protects you from the government. You can go call Trump every kind of fuckhead you want, and you're not going to get arrested for it. That's what the First Amendment provides you. You cannot work for anybody and think you're protected from putting anything out there on social media. That's not how it works. I don't care if you're posting right or left. It doesn't matter. If they look at your post and think you have damage their image or damage their brand or damage your relationship with their customers, they got every right in the world to fire you. So don't give me that First Amendment bullshit.
Do you know what the First Amendment did get a bit on the comedy side? Do you know what the First Amendment of the Canadian Constitution
I
is?
have no idea.
It is whether Manitoba is a province. So every so often people in Canada start arguing about the First Amendment and how they have the First Amendment. And I always go, what does this have to do with Manitoba? But it's the stuff, you know, the expression gets recycled. But I think it's so funny sometimes when Canadians say First Amendment, not knowing that it was a land treaty deal instead of like
Well,
a rule or whatever it may be.
and it's like, you know, again, I never want to see anybody hurt or killed or anything like that. But then you've got these nurses on the left side coming out talking about, you know, don't treat ICE officers, don't do that, and then wonder why they get fired. And then on the other side of it is, you know, my wife's a teacher, and her and I, you know, she knows how I feel about this. And she's not one that does it, but you've got teachers that'll post stuff on TikTok and, you know, about laughing because ICE got whatever or this person got whatever. And, you know, I'll use Charlie Kirk, for example. It was absolutely disgusting. You don't have to agree with what the man says, but to be on to put your ass out there, whether it was for engagement like we talked about before, or you've actually believed this, it's your right to do it. Not questioning that. But then, you know, come back and cry that you got fired because you're celebrating somebody got killed. And it's like, well, you know, again, are you stupid? You know, as Michael Jordan famously said, Republicans buy shoes too. That's why he's always stayed out of politics. You know, and I'm sure he's got his views like anybody else does, but you don't know what they are. And the man's a multi-billionaire, you know, because of it. And he's well respected. And like when it comes to teachers, I'll let you take it in a second. When it comes to teachers, again, you're human. Believe what you want to, vote how you want to. But anybody that is teaching kindergarten through, you know, 12th grade, as a teacher, you're there to teach those kids how to think, not what to think. So your political views should never enter a classroom, period, end of story. And if you can't separate the two, you don't need to be teaching the child.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say is there's people that are complaining about politics in wrestling. And I'm not going to dive into the topic because, you know, I don't like to get too much in it. I will say this. I believe that every art form is inherently political, to use that expression. These are people who are expressing their beliefs. Sometimes simple beliefs can be put over left and right. You know, like you can say a simple fact or something simple that you think is elementary, and they'll say, oh, you're on this, you're on that. So sometimes people are just trying to express themselves and people kind of collect on that. But my argument is don't look, I get it's escapism, but if you watched movies that never had any political storytelling, motivation, references, blah, 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 you'd be missing out on some of the greatest movies to ever exist. You know, you'd be missing out on Schindler's List or Ants, because those two movies are relative. But you know what I mean, right? Like,
oh, I do. I mean,
it's just intrinsic in art.
That's the one drawback to social media. Like I said, you know, somebody as a kid that moved, and you know, when I was young, and phone calls were, you know, $15 to talk to my grandfather on Sunday for, you know, 5 minutes. One of the few things back in the day that was more expensive than it is today. You know, social media would have been great to keep up with friends and family from where I didn't live anymore. But what it's done is taken people's ability away from having a conversation. Because if you get, first off, I think most of the social media shit is simply for engagement.
Yes.
That's what I believe, 100%.
You'll get more comments out of an argument than you will an agreement, and we need more clicks.
But that's the thing with me, you know, you can have somebody, and I truly believe this, you can have somebody on the left and somebody on the right. Take them off of social media and put them at a table, and you give them a conversation bullet point. You know, okay, well, I feel this way, you feel that way. Tell me why you feel this way, and then I'll tell you why I feel the way I do. And if you go back to it, there's going to be something that happened, you know, maybe not traumatic per se, but something in, you know, along the way of them growing up to
lived experience.
Yes, absolutely. To why they are on the side that they are on. And if you can stop and have a conversation with somebody, you might not walk away agreeing with them, but you have an understanding instead of going, they're a terrible human being. like social media does.
So to wrap it all around, I'll do one philosophical point to bring it all back to wrestling. There is something they talk about with isolationism when and we can even use it in political or wrestling. We can move the metaphor if we need to, where people are so used to, like, they stay by themselves, they read the same books, they listen to the same podcasts. Like, you're not kind of expanding and kind of growing. So you get a lot of people that are arguing about AEW, WWE, because that's not their what are your Republican, Democrat,
Yeah,
like,
left, right, Republican, Democrat, whatever.
but it's like, you know what I mean? You have to sort of um okay, sorry. My point was, there's a lot of isolationism. They want to keep you here or there, what place. So a lot of people talk about the third place, and it's like an idea of like churches, bars, bowling alleys, arcades, places where you go to hang out with, your community, and you take part in your community and all that. So I think you know if anything's a problem, if you're worried about being more part of the community, go to more pro wrestling shows, baby, because that's a perfect place to reach out and help independent artists and help people grow and stuff like that. So um that was a long kind of bringing it back around, but there's a lot. If you're I think the easiest thing that we can all agree on politically is support local, like support
Absolutely.
local
'Cause
artists, right?
that's what's gonna affect your life the most. I mean, period.
Yeah.
Get out, get
So
involved, talk to people. Yeah, local is where you need to be involved in.
So it's one thing to make a political statement chanting on a show, but it's another to make a political statement by going out and helping artists. If you don't want to go wrestling, go watch a play, go watch music, go watch music. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
And say his name, and he becomes the new NXT champion. Joe Hendry climbed the ladder on Tuesday night and captured the NXT title. Did you see that?
I did not see that. I do not watch NXT, but I like Joe Henry. I definitely um enjoy his sort of rise to fame so far. I feel like it's a little bit of a waste that he's in NXT. Like,
Yeah,
boom,
like I
put
told
him
you,
on the card. Have
we talk
fun.
about spots in the Royal Rumble. That was one that I was genuinely shocked that he was not in there. And the only reason that I can think that he was not in there, and this is not anything I've seen or heard, it's me trying to put it together in my head on why he wasn't, was he didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. Nothing I've heard him say. So don't read anything into that if you're
Oh,
listening.
I will not. I will agree. Maybe it's not a specific to him, but I can agree from everything I've heard that that's a general thing that's like a fair amount of wrestlers are unsure about. So I wouldn't
This is the first time CM
disbelieve
Punk
him.
went. He didn't wrestle, but he was there. This is the first time he went.
I would totally understand if somebody was a little hesitant of going there.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the only reason that I can't that I can think of that he wasn't in it, just because Saudi Arabia or not, the pop he would have gotten. I mean, when his music hits, I mean, it don't matter where they are, man. And people are singing it, they're moving side to side, they're doing the whole 9 yards. But anyway, congratulations to the new NXT champion. If you watch TNA back in the day, good old Robbie E, who is now Robert Stone, is your interim NXT GM, replacing Ava, who did not renew her contract and has left the company, and had a very nice tweet on her way out the door, which got her Twitter account suspended. You can look it up. Different story for a different day. Not going back into that. But let's see. I think I went last. So who are your last 10 entrants in the Royal Rumble? Give it to me.
Okay, so my final 10, I went a little generic, but I popped one little special treat in there. I don't know if they're dead yet, but here we go. So the people who are left in the ring, I'm not too sure. It could go either way. Maybe we'll keep AJ. Maybe we can keep Nakamura or something. I'm not too hard on it, but we're gonna do groupings of the next 10. So the next 2 to come out are gonna be the Motor City Machine Guns. Doesn't matter which order. 1, 2, they come out. We can do the whole tag teams right after each other. Right after that, we're gonna have Tyler Breeze and Fandango come out, Fashion Police. And they can even do the thing where they come out together and then get to the ring, and the refs are only like, no, only one of you. And the other one like pulls up a chair and like pulls out a newspaper and reads the paper for a couple minutes. Next two are going to be Viking Raiders. They can grab the
Oh God!
guy.
After what happened to them Monday night, I'm not so sure about that.
I ignored that happened. That happened in a movie. It's not canon. It's fine. Viking Raiders come on. The authors of pain come out. So with the last two of the Rumble, we're gonna have the Rockers come out. Both Sean and Marty in the Rockers outfit, but they're gonna do the like, yeah, we can do it. We're the best. We can. And then they get to the ring and they see Authors of Pain and the Viking Raiders, and let's say like Kent is still in there or whatever. They're just kind of, oh no, we're not. No. We can do the we're too old for this shit spot. You know what I mean? Have a little comedy where they get thrown right out.
Spot from last year or the year before.
Oh, maybe Sean and Marty get on the turnbuckle and they jump, and the Authors of Pain catch them and like gently place them over the ropes, tap them on the head, and then like bonk them off. So it's like,
did you see that McAfee spot last year or the year before?
Remind me.
He was at the desk with Michael Cole, whatever number it was, and his music hit, and he was like, "Oh shit, okay." And he gets up and he almost, and a couple of the other ones are in the ring. And he gets up on the apron, and almost is staring him down. And he's just kind of looking at him with that, that oh shit look he gets. And then somebody come from behind and hit almost. He turned around and McAfee jumps over the top rope and he runs over there, and he got his hand up and almost turns around and looks at him, and he went, "Nope." And he turned around and he went over there and, jumped over the top rope back to the apron and got down himself, went right back to the commentating desk. And Cole was like, "Yeah, I was good. That was probably a good call there, Pat." He was like, "Yep, not doing that."
Nope. So, no, we're good. Yeah, and that's my like final 10. So we have like a comedy at the beginning with the first 10. We kind of turn the temperature up a little bit in the middle, and then the final 10 or the final 10 are just going to be like tag team moves. You hit this, you hit this. Sean and Marty come out for that nostalgia pop. They get tossed out immediately, and then it's like throw a wrench in the gears, and it's like, let's have R-Truth win. The first person who went in is still, for some reason, if you look carefully, all the way at the back, holding on for dear life. But let's let him win it, so that way you can start booking the Rumble as anything can happen. Anyone can win. Boom, you're off to the races.
All right. My next 5 is what I call the final push. So we went from slowing it down. Now we got to bring in the heavy hitters. Number 21, we got Roman Reigns. Number 22, we get LA Knight. 23, we get Swerve Strickland. 24, we get John Moxley.
Oh my God.
25, this is just me hoping he's okay and he actually comes back and can be what I used to love so dearly, is Adam Cole. Then we get down to 26 through 30, which is the closing one. We get Cody Rhodes, baby.
Oh my God.
Then we get Solo Sikoa. Then we get the Heat Magnets coming out. We got Logan Paul. Then we get MJF. And then last but not least, Randy Orton. So now we got a shitload of people in the ring. Can't take your eyes off of it. Then we got some final key moments that happen. Gunther got him eliminating Omega. Punk quickly eliminates Logan Paul. And of course, MJF grabs a hold of Adam Cole and throws his ass over the top rope. Roman eliminates Solo. Cody eliminates MJF. Gunther eliminates Orton. Roman eliminates Punk. Swerve eliminates Gunther. And at the same time, Roman eliminates Cody. Bringing it down to Roman Reigns versus Swerve Strickland. Roman goes for the spear. Swerve counters, hooks the arm, and dumps him over the top rope. And your winner is Swerve Strickland. And the crowd is like, holy shit, that just happened.
Crowd is taking a nap after that.
They are not.
122 minutes. No, I mean, like, because you'd be exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
That
Okay.
wild ride, they'd be like, oh my God, give us 10 minutes. Like, we're just. You put an intermission after that because they're going to be exhausted. You got to
no,
take
you give them like 2 brawn panty pillow matches back to back to back. And
oh my God.
that's,
Oh, you
that's
have
what
them. You have
that's
them
what
with
you,
dudes just to throw everyone off. Like,
that's what you bring the Bella twins back for. You shall, they come out. I don't know if you saw them on Monday or not, but you know, I ain't mad at nobody for taking the check. You know, I'm surprised Bree is back with Daniel still being in AEW. But they got no pop. And you know, Nikki was like, Bree's back, let's hear it for Bree. Crickets. Crickets.
yeah,
Like,
it's like they are the epitome of a generation of female wrestlers that people are trying to forget.
Yeah.
The Divas era, the pre-revolution era, like that was when WWE was holding all the women back, and those two were like the poster children of that era. So
yeah.
I think
Now
there's a lot of people
Charlotte
that are
did win
just
the Divas title, but she was the last one. I think she beat Nikki Ford, if I remember correctly.
but I think Charlotte gets a little bit of rub from being that like NXT crew.
Well, yeah, that's why they gave, well, like as soon as she won the Divas title, they immediately like the following week after whatever pay-per-view that was on.
Oh,
they,
she
they
was the last one in, okay, yeah.
they took the Divas title and gave her the WWE Women's title
He
back.
was the one that changed it.
Yeah. And then but the Divas era toward the end did give us AJ Lee and Paige or Soraya.
Hey, we during the depths of terrible women's wrestling, we had Awesome Kong and Gail Kim.
Oh no,
so
no.
There was also like there was always like diamonds.
Well, no,
you know
I mean,
what I mean?
I'll give those TNA women credit. I mean, they beat there was no diva shit going on in that. They had some diva entrances. I love the beautiful people.
Oh, yeah, there was the beautiful people. There was a little bit of that going on, but
now,
there's always a couple diamonds in the rough.
Well, yeah, but those TNA women, I mean, they, you know, for what they lacked in skill, they did not lack in. They were fearless. They would go out there and beat the shit out of each other.
I thought you were going to say something else, but yeah.
And speaking of, you know, because I forgot what her name was, but one of the knockouts got her head shaved back then. We have a mixed tag match coming up for AEW with the Citrus Boy and Timeless Tony Storm against Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir, and whoever takes the fall gets their head shaved. And you know, I'm about 99.99999% sure that we're going to see a Wheeler Yuta looking doing his best John Moxley imitation.
I think that needs to happen. His look, he just looks like a teenager, and it'd be a great time for him to do something with himself to, you know, come back out of it.
Now, I will not lie. If Marina gets her head shaved, I would laugh and find that rather amusing because we hadn't seen that done in a while.
Hey, it's not out of reality for Tony to shave her head either. Like, I feel like she would do it for this character.
Did you see all of Dynamite last night?
No, I did not.
So they actually they had a mixed tag match against two unknowns, and they won. And then, you know, Tony got the mic and she said, what have I done? And Orange is going, you know, he gets on the mic, and, you know, for once, you know, he don't do that often. He's like, I don't want to lose my hair. I'm not going to look good without any hair. And then Tony takes the mic and she starts doing all her stuff and talking about how she'd look like an egg with, you know, an egg if she lost her hair and this, that, and the other. I mean, it was funny. I mean, you know, it's Tony Storm and Orange Cassidy. It's the comedy break but then she comes back serious and but that's not going to happen because, you know, I'm timeless Tony Storm and you're going to get this, you're going to get that, blah, blah. You know, she and they took it out of the comedy and got serious with it again, like they do. But, you know, I'm just like, because like so actually off the top of my head, the only woman that I can remember getting her head shaved was the knockout in TNA. And the way that came about, I remember the story. I wish I could remember who it was.
What was the lady in the Straight Edge Society?
Oh,
did she shave her head like for a
she did it. She didn't lose her hair.
Gotcha. She just did it for like a spot.
Oh
like
gosh, she's in AEW. The professor. Oh my God. Oh, come on, man. She wasn't in WWE for a long time, but she's got long hair again. Oh, damn it.
yeah, it's escaping me too.
Oh, hell. If you hadn't asked, I would have known her damn name. Serena.
Gotcha.
And it's Serena Deeb.
Yes, Serena Deeb. Yeah. Okay, I'm on the same page now. Hopefully.
Yeah, like I said, she did that herself. But as far as losing her hair was the girl in TNA. Somebody, it might have been Bruce Pritchard. I don't know. But I've heard the story that whoever was in charge went in the women's locker room and was like, "Any of y'all up for possibly shaving your head? And we'll give you some extra money to do it." And they said that everybody's kind of looking around, and she just popped up and said, "I've ruined mine from all the color, and it needs to heal. Hell, I'll do it." And so she went out there. A couple weeks later, they worked it in to lead up to it, and she got her head shaved. And I can't remember who. Huh?
No, because I'm just joking. Because the straight edge society's like the skinheads and all that. I'm making another like a reference to when they put politics in wrestling. Well, the skinheads are depending on where you are might indicate.
The hair stuff that I remember from being a kid was when Jimmy Valiant was feuding with Paul Jones's Army, and everybody was just so sure Jimmy Valiant had beaten Pistol Pez, Shaska, Watley in a hair versus hair match, but Shaska, Pez didn't have a whole lot of hair anyway. And but he got his head shaved, and then Jimmy was so determined he was going to get Paul Jones, and if anybody knows Jimmy Valiant, he had that long flowing blonde hair. Nobody expected Jimmy Valiant to get his head shaved, and he got his head shaved, and he wanted the rematch. And Jones was like, "Yeah, I already got your hair, bro." His legit wife, her on screen name was Big Mama, and she looked like a big old biker chick from back in the day. Big old shirt popping out to here and the long 80s hair and going on. And I'll put Big Mama's hair on the line. You go be a bald headed geek, Paul Jones. And, so Jones agreed and was, started having people do the mock picture of Big Mama with no hair and all that stuff. And of course, Jimmy won that match, and then seeing the behind the scenes on Kurt Angle losing his hair. Kurt tells a story about that. And I of course, it's behind the scenes stuff you don't know. But, he went to Vince and said, I'm going to shave my head, man. I'm starting to lose it up here. He's like, no, let's do that as an angle. And they did it and, with Edge. And when he told Angle what he was going to do, he's like, but don't tell Edge that you're losing. We're going to tell him he's losing. And Kurt's like, really? He goes, we're not going to tell him until it's time that we have to tell him. And he goes, when Edge heard about the match and was, he had that real long hair that he had and everything. And it was like, he said you could just see Edge walking around with poo-poo face for 3 weeks. And then they got to the arena that day and Edge is up in the rafters, just looking all blah. And they finally let him in on that he was going over, not Kurt, and Kurt was getting his head shaved. But they said they had a lot of fun with Edge for about 3 to 4 weeks on that. So you ready to do a hair versus hair match there, Paul?
What's funny is we've talked about it, and I'm waiting for my hair to come back because every so often I feel like, hey, I have to shave my head, and every single time I've done that, everybody's yelled at me because I get the long curly ringlets, whatever they're called, and there's a lot of people around me that are like, that's perfect for wrestling. Like, why don't you know what I mean? It's ridiculous why you don't ever do it. And in training, we were joking about me and a female talent. We're going to have a hair versus hair. And then the long running joke became she was going to have to learn how to be bald because I'm not shaving this for anybody, no how. And that became the running joke was my hair was better than hers. And she should just cut it if you're not going to take care of it,
Well, the last hair versus hair match I remember was Chris Jericho against Kevin Nash after the WCW days when Nash had came back to WWF. And, and the reason they did it, you find out, a couple weeks later, the reason they did it was, Jericho, of course, did not shave Nash's head. He simply took some scissors and cut all the length off. Was Nash was having to cut his hair for the Punisher movie he was in. He played a Russian villain, for about 5 minutes in the Punisher movie, but they were going to cut his hair and they dyed it blonde. But that's of course, like I said, Jericho didn't shave his head; he just cut the length off. So that's the last one I remember. There might have been another one after that, but that's
so here's a fun fact: the last hair versus hair match in New Japan Pro Wrestling was last March with Yuya Yamura versus Yota Tsuji, and they both have these beautiful long manes, and Yuya lost. And the funny thing is that they couldn't get the buzzer to work. So Yuya just grabs it and like buzzes a bit and goes, "I'm done," and walks to the back. And that was a big storyline because in Japanese culture, shaving the head has a bit more significance. Like to us, it's like, haha, you're bald. Like we can make fun of it. But to them, it's like a stepping down. You know what I mean? Like there's a bit more significance. So in the long run, it did seem like that signified like Tsuji's the guy and Yuya's going to step down there. You know what I mean? They'll go up together like this. But yeah, it was funny that was last year. And Yuya's hair is still growing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not long yet, but it's like to the chin.
Yeah, if you go back with hair, he didn't lose it, but when Undertaker was doing the biker gimmick, he came back with the long hair, and people. And then if you go back, you remember he come out one week with the long hair, and the following week come out his hair is buzzed. And when they put him back, when they did the angle at Survivor Series where Kane buried him alive again, and for the fourth or fifth time, whatever that had happened to be, and he stuck his hand up out of the end of the sand.
Yep.
And when he come back, I mean, his hair wasn't as long as it had been, but I mean, we're talking, November, so December, January, February, March, possibly 1st April, roughly 4.5, 5 months. And since he had been seen on TV, and his hair was down to like here, and I'm like, how in the hell did he pull that one off? Is that a wig? I mean, I'm like studying this man's hair on TV. And he said the way that they did it was the WWF was paying $10,000 a shot. And I can't remember if it was once a month or once every other week, but they were paying $10,000 a shot for him to get the shots that are given to horses to make their mane grow quicker and make it look so flowing and glowing and whatever you want to call that shit. But he said, yeah, WWF was paying 10 grand a pop for him to get these horse shots that helped him grow his hair quicker.
I mean, I have a joke, but it's just gonna start turning into political arguments. But something, sure. Moving on from the horse.
Well, we have developed a new concept that we are going to be bringing out. What are we going to do? It once a month? You said? Is that what we want to do? What we decided?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the starter aim for the first bit until we can get our kind of legs underneath us.
And so we're going to try to get that together and debut it. What you're saying, and we're going to do some. We're going to start watching some stuff, and we'll direct you there, and we'll let you know when the first one is coming out. It'll be posted on the Facebook page as well. We'll both post it on our personal pages and stuff as well as to find it. We're looking forward to doing something a little different. You want to explain to them what it's going to be?
Hey, have you ever seen a show with structure? Yeah, basically that. No. Because this show is very fun and it's sort of loose structure, I thought, well, why don't we apply ourselves to something a bit more tightly fitted? So the premise of the show is every week, I'm so used to saying that. Premise of the show is every episode, we're going to be taking a look at a new pro wrestling company. There are hundreds around the world. They post to YouTube, they post to their websites. It's not that hard to get access to some of these shows. So what if every show we take a look at maybe 1 or 2 episodes of their shows, depending on length, and sit down and have a chat and say, from our perspective, what did we like? What did we not like? What was weird? What was kind of too weird? You know what I mean? What are the highlights? So hopefully by the end of this journey, we'll have learned a lot more about pro wrestling culture and the many little ins and outs it may have.
And with this one or that one, whichever one we decide to do, maybe roll one into another. I've reached out to a few different people about some interviews, and waiting to hear back and how that can pan out and see what we can do. And, just rolling on, man, trying to continue and build better, better and better. I mean, it's came a long way since we first got together doing this and kind of got some structure back to it, as loose as it might be. Nice little brand new layout we got going on. You can read our names and know what we're doing. You can follow and subscribe, give it to everywhere on YouTube. On you can check us out on TikTok. I always put some clips out there, Facebook, Instagram, all that happy horse shit. And one day, the boss might come on here and supervise again. He was on here for the anniversary show, and I don't know what his schedule's got to what he's got going on with that. I know that him and Mr. Jacob still do some live reviews, and I am too ADHD to sit there for a fucking 6-hour pay-per-view and do a live review. So, God bless him for it, because I can't do it. But back to the hair thing real quick. I know they used to do a lot of hair versus mask in Mexico. You seen any of those pop up lately?
Not that I've seen directly, but yeah, those are always they're always there, and they're always on the kind of horizon. Because I even heard I don't know where I heard it. It might have been here, actually. We were joking about, if Ray and Dom do a match, they should do hair versus mask. Dom's got the beautiful hair. Ray can retire, taking the mask off, handing it down. Like, that's always.
Yeah, that's how I fully expect Ray to go out. If they don't do it I mean, I know they're doing the career killer stuff with Gunther, but Dom's there. Dom needs to be the one to send Dad home.
They can do a lucha exit for Ray. They can do something a little different that's more suited for our lucha libre than, like, I know what's better than suited lucha for what's not better suited for lucha libre than massive white guy that beats the crap out of everybody. They love that stuff, but I can see it being more of a ceremonial thing. Like Tanahashi was not retired by a Gunther equivalent. You know what I mean? It was a bit more story driven historically. It was an old, like, if he was retired by like Psychosis or something, you could go, okay, I could see why, or something like that.
Well, that's no. Yeah, I just want I've said it since Ray was talking about his Hall of Fame induction, and said that his drawback when they first asked him was like, "Whoa, I ain't done." And they're like, "Man, you keep wrestling. We don't care. We're not telling you to go home." And he's like, "Okay, well, I got 2-3 more years left. I got a timeline I'm looking at." So that's coming up. I mean, he said, I mean, he wasn't like AJ Styles going, "This is going to be my last year," but the time frame he laid out when he was talking about being put in the Hall of Fame, it's around the corner. I mean, it's getting close.
Well, he's not doing full tours. Let's put it that way. He's slowed down. He's picking his shots. He knows what to work and not work.
I mean, I'm good for him for making what he has in the sport at his size. But I mean, at his size, his body's got to be hurting.
And that's how you book someone at that point of the career, because more people will come for a singular event. You know what I mean? You don't have to show up in every town anymore. He did that 20 years ago. He could show up in one town, charge $200. Apparently he did one time for autographs. I don't know if that's true or not, but like, he can get away with that, and that's fine. That's what you want as a dad in a career. Like, show up for a show if the ticket sales aren't great. Rey Mysterio's here. Oh my God, Rey Mysterio's here. Okay, well, we gotta go see Rey Mysterio then.
Yeah, so that should be coming up. We are now after Punk and Reigns and the Royal Rumble, we are officially on the road to WrestleMania, and we also have Grand Slam Dynamite. Is that next week or the following week?
I'm not sure, to be honest, actually.
But we got that coming up. That's where Brodie will get his title shot, and that is where Andrade will wrestle. No, he already beat Kenny, so I'm not sure what he's doing on that one.
Wrestling in pants or in trunks? Because this is what we're all betting on the internet now.
He didn't take the pants off last night, so but he had his like 5 or 6 women cheering section down there in front, going, doing the old "Ooh, Andrade." But you got the hair match with Orange and Tony and Marina and Wheeler again. Paul and I on the same thing. Wheeler needs to have that done, but again, it's wrestling, so you never know. So we got all kinds of stuff coming up. New show coming out, and we might try to throw a segment in here about something, whether it was a Rumble or a match we saw or a storyline, but how we would book it. And as you can see, that we do it in fun going back and forth, but you're going to get two completely different perspectives on, because I'm booking for the American audiences that I know they like to watch.
And sometimes it just depends, because if you take some of these American comedy guys and you put them in a Japanese ring, they'll blow up. Like I'll be adamant. You put R-Truth in the New Japan ring, that whole crowd's laughing in 2 seconds. Like,
Oh, yeah.
certain things apply to both, but it's like squares and rectangles. They're not always the same thing. Sometimes they're slightly different.
And remember, like I said at the beginning, both companies are doing a bunch of bullshit. So, you can like one better than the other. That's fine. That's your prerogative. But don't sit there and say the other company's not doing it, because I guarantee you, if you watch
Hey,
close enough,
that's half the
they are.
reason. There's like a large chunk of me that's like, well, what else is there out there? Like, if you always go to McDonald's and you always get a filet of fish and a Big Mac, not all together, that sounds gross, but you always like, those are your things, and you start going and that filet of fish and that Big Mac kind of sucks. Are you just gonna stop going to McDonald's, or are you gonna go, hey, what's that chicken? You're gonna try something else, right? So
let's see what Wendy's has. Let's see what Burger King's got going on.
right. So what's Tokyo Joshi? What's DDT? What's Noah? What are all these? What's Juggalo Pro Wrestling? What do these companies look like? And is it something that I like? So maybe I can start watching this stuff, because some companies are easier to watch than you think, and some companies are annoying. Like, WrestleUniverse.com has 12 different companies, and it's easy to watch. It's $11 for me, Canadian. CMML has a YouTube subscription thing, and their cheapest one is like $25 a month. So some of it is easier to watch than others, but at the same time, let's try it out. Let's see. Hey, maybe I really like caviar. Oh, so I don't know.
And I need to practice what I preach, because I have not watched TNA since we watched it that first night. And I'll tell you my problem with it. It wasn't bad per se, but it was the same old TNA to me. Let me just put it that way. Since their days of coming out and like being real hot and heavy with a 6-sided ring and the knockout.
And it's like not 6-side ring TNA, 4-side ring TNA.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, after Hogan and Bischoff and all those guys left that kind of came in and tried to make it WCW 2.0. Once they left, and they went back to the core of what they were able to afford, it's not bad. It just, to me, it was just the same old TNA. Then I was hoping for more. I'm glad it wasn't NXT, reliant. I was happy with that, but I need to go back and give them another chance, because I have not watched it since.
Hey, if they got one or two talents that kind of flow in and out, I'm fine with that. But separate yourself a bit.
Yeah, I wanted to see Courtney Rush, better known to most people as Rosemary, but she was not on the debut edition. So give me Courtney Rush, and you can bring me Courtney Rush, or you can bring her back out as Rosemary. I don't care, just one or the other.
Did they lose Ace Austin, or was that just
he is in AEW with
okay, I wasn't sure.
Bang.
He was a good name. He was always a solid junior you could put out there.
Real quick, because we hadn't talked about this. I'll see what you thought about it. AEW signed the Rascals, but then immediately released Trey Miguel, and he went back to TNA.
All I know about it is something was said somewhere on the internet, some time ago.
He tweeted something. It was kind of, I don't know what he tweeted. I don't want to.
I literally have no idea what was tweeted. So
I don't know what. I don't know.
Was it a political
it
thing? Was it a sexist? Like, was it a Me Too? I don't know what it was. Like,
it had been years ago. That's all I know. But it also,
fair.
Like I said, they brought him into the WWE with no problem. But of course, that's with TKO owning it, like I've talked about before, you can get out of prison and be back in the main event of a UFC show the following week. So that wasn't surprising, but I'd never heard about it. But apparently it was kind of the same deal with Jay Briscoe. Time Warner Turner did not want Warner Brothers, would not allow Jay Briscoe on that show because of something he tweeted all those years ago. And this is kind of similar. I don't know.
It's like, it's weird, but it's like, I'll defend Jay Briscoe on this one from what I remember, because they were mad at him that he was playing a sort of homophobic character. But if I remember correct, he was the heel at the time. So that's like saying Luke Skywalker endorses baby genocide. Because you know what I mean? To me, it was like, no, you're playing a bad guy, so you're allowed to do things that someone may disagree with. But I think it was because they were a down south tag team, and that implies certain things might have
Okay,
been
now here it
said.
is. Yeah, here it is. Trey Miguel was released from AEW in January 2026 due to the resurfacing of past controversial social media posts, specifically homophobic comments he made on Facebook in 2020 and anti-Semitic remarks from 2019 in a Twitter exchange. So,
Hey, well, I'll say this. Well, I could see a company trying to stay away from political stuff. Hey, maybe but it's hard to do that when their company was just made famous for having the crowd chant "fuck ICE." Like,
pick one, man. Pick one.
and it's like, I think we're on different sides, but we're totally in agreement on this. Where it's like you gotta like if it was a Me Too thing or whatever, depending on how bad it was, saying that. Now there's a difference between saying I don't like gay people and going camps. You know what I mean? So I haven't seen the tweet. Hopefully it's not an overextension of a little bit of sensitivity. Hopefully it was like, oh, okay, I read that tweet and I would agree. Who knows? I don't.
Like I said, I just know that it's kind of the same situation. I don't remember what it was Jay Briscoe said. So I'm not gonna, I can look it up, but it's doesn't matter anymore. Well, it's kind of the same situation. Warner Brothers, when this was when Tony bought Ring of Honor.
It's a bit of
yeah. When Tony bought Ring of Honor and they were doing the FTR Briscoe matches, that whoever it was coming out and delivering messages from the Briscoes to FTR because Warner Brothers would not allow them on their channel. And, then, of course, when Jay unfortunately passed away from the car accident, it wasn't Mark they were mad at. So, Mark was allowed to be on there. And, they were going to do a bigger tribute to Jay Briscoe than what they did, but it was kind of, you can do a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of the same thing. I mean, I'm glad he was able to go back to TNA and all as well. But now the three of them, you still got, I forgot what Wentz and Wesley were called in WWE. I forgot. It was because it was just the two of them there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But you got three of them and you got one. I mean, now Trey will fit well in the X division by himself. But, again, WWE no longer has the cruiserweight division. AEW doesn't have a cruiserweight division, but they also like the smaller guys better. So I think TNA is probably the best thing for him to do and go back and wind up. Like I said, and I need to go back and watch TNA. I need to give him another shot because I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't mad. I wasn't like, I don't watch it.
I was the mad one. You were the one that was like consoling me. It's not that bad. It's all right. It's okay.
It was the same old TNA to me. It wasn't, again, I'll pat them on the back for not being NXT reliant, WWE reliant on their first show. Don't know what the other ones have been since, but it wasn't.
It's a cheese pizza, like when you've been eating topping pizzas all day.
Yeah.
I had Hawaiian.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't something that's gonna.
But I've been eating this all day, and this didn't have anything on it of substance. So, I guess
I get that they don't have the star power that both the other companies have, and I can't think of off the top of my head. But
that's fine.
I can't think off the top of my head what AEW has done for like a debut match or whatever. But Netflix, the first night on Netflix, what'd you get? You got CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Two big names, whether you like them or you don't, whether you like one of them, you don't like the other one, doesn't matter. You know who they are. And, that was the big pop for WWE to, premiere on Netflix. It was a pay-per-view card. I don't remember what else was on it, but, they gave you a pay-per-view quality card for the first night. And like I said, TNA was just, again, it was just simply the same stuff I used to watch when I got Access TV. So they didn't really change a whole lot, but anyway, you got anything else before we get out of here tonight, man?
The push-up challenge has started, and it is 2,000 push-ups over the next 2 weeks.
Have you? So you've been doing any at all now?
Today is 65, so I have to do my last set of 25 before I go to bed to hit that 65. But I'm hoping to get above it to get ahead of the numbers. Yeah, I believe if you just Google the push-up challenge or even the pushupchallenge.com, it's a whole charity thing. So I believe it's men's mental health, blah, 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 blah. But it's free to sign up. So if anyone is interested in those sort of physical challenges, you can sign up for free and then don't get people to donate for you. And I don't know specifically where it goes, but I'm sure the website can fill people in if they go.
Well, I'll date it for you. Because I know, I mean, whether you watch a lot of TV or you don't, buddy of mine I lived next door to when I was in high school, he wasn't a big guy, but he was solid as a rock and cut. I mean, just, and you never saw him do anything. And I find him like, how the hell do you do that? I don't ever see you work out. I mean, you know, that just doesn't happen. He said, you know, and this is what he did. He said when he was watching TV, no matter how long or how little he watched TV, that during the commercials, he took turns doing push-ups, setups, every commercial break, and he did not stop until the show come back on. That was the only thing he did workout wise. He didn't lift weights, he didn't run, you know, he wasn't doing any kind of, you know, hyperactive activities. That's all he did was push-ups and setups on each commercial break. And he was, like I said, he was short guy, but you know, solid as a rock, and probably the best abs that I've ever seen, like as somebody I know. If that makes sense.
And when you start to break down the numbers, things start to look realistic. Okay, 2,000 over 2 weeks is a lot, but they for today asked me to do 65. 65? If I do 15, 20 a set, okay. You know what I mean? Like you start breaking down the numbers over a whole day. These are realistic numbers. Now, I do believe later in the challenge, we're going to start getting to like 170 a day, 130 a day to start racking up the numbers. But
you gotta walk, you gotta crawl before you walk, man.
But if you break it down in 25s, even 100 push-ups, I have to do that 4 times in a day. That's easy. You know what I mean? Like start breaking down the numbers. You don't have to do it at once, but hopefully by the end of this, I'll look better in a onesie. That's my
you just send me those pictures.
My singlet that I bought.
Send me those pictures now before you put them out to the public, and I'll give you my honest
those
opinion.
kind of pictures. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No knee pad pictures. All right, here we go. This guy.
All right. Well, we you know, we've talked about a lot, you know, the upcoming shows. Before we get out of here, I just want to take a quick personal thank you. You know, it's all day today. I thought about messaging you and telling you I wasn't going to do this tonight.
Fair.
Because today is a year since my dad passed away here in my home.
Oh shit, man.
And so it's been a rough day. But I want to thank you. And thank everybody that's listening, whether they are or not. But you know, personally, thank you for giving me an outlet to get on here and kind of push it away a little bit. And you know, I do appreciate that. And you know, we've never met in person, man, but you mean a lot to me, and I just want you to know that I appreciate everything you do.
Oh, no worries, man. There's an expression from Ted Lasso that I always loved, and he basically the whole speech is he goes on and he says, "Look, it's okay to be sad, but it's not okay to be alone. So let's be sad, let's be together, and eventually, you know, we'll feel better, and tomorrow we'll move on." And I always love that kind of sentiment. Like it's okay to be sad, but we'll be sad together, and we'll get through this.
Well, I tell you, just the stuff I've been through, and then we'll get out of here. I don't want to bring everybody down, but you know, at the end, it doesn't matter. And I kind of had to get through this with, you know, when my daughter passed, but it doesn't matter if they're 19 or 90. In the end, you always want more time.
Yeah.
The trick is being thankful for the time you had. And that's what I try to focus on.
Yeah.
So I'll let you do the honors, Paul. Get us out of here this week.
It's like, it's out of me. I don't know what to say anymore. Just thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We got lots more on the horizon. It may be a short episode today, but we have tons in the books. We got lots of ideas being written down. We got lots of emails being sent to reachers for interviews and stuff like that. So while this episode might have been a little short, our dreams are not. They are large and they are reaching out very far. So hopefully you guys stick with us for the rest of the year or even for just a few months. And we're hoping to get a lot more interesting content out, different kind of avenues. And for Jason and myself, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.